Hello, everyone, and welcome to Increase Your Brand Visibility, Be Seen in 2016. We have a few viewers with us. I see Dawn in there. I see Chris. Hey, what's up? For anyone else out there who is not logged into your Twitter, you can log in with your Twitter account and be able to engage with us, have a conversation, ask your questions in the chat box, and invite you also to share in your networks as well. On the top left, I believe everyone should have the same view. You can tweet it out or you can post it to your Facebook, and we'll do that at any point during the show as well. So my name is Dara Carrillo, and I am co-founder of Newsstream. I'm a personal branding coach certified in positive psychology, and I transform the possible into the viable. So I work with small business owners and professionals to help them get greater clarity, connection, and direction of who they are, who they serve, and so they can really have that strong foundation as they set out on a new career or a new business. And I am super thrilled to have two amazing people with me today. So I'd love for you both just to do a brief introduction of who you are and maybe where you're at, who you serve, that sort of thing.
Erica, would you?
Sure. So my name is Erica Wiggins, and I work for an experiential marketing agency called George P. Johnson. And what we do is we create face-to-face brand experiences for companies like IBM, Jeep, Under Armour, Cisco, and Salesforce. And I'm a marketing manager. So on my day-to-day, I manage the social media assets for George P. Johnson. I also do I write case studies about our work. I submit our work for awards with different awards programs. I find speaking engagements for executives, and I craft internal and external communications for the company. So that's what I do. Before I worked for George P. Johnson, I did have some marketing experience and event planning experience in both the music industry and nonprofit education organizations.
I love that. And so I haven't connected with you in some time. What's your favorite part? You've been in this role for a couple of years now, right?
Right. It'll be 2 years in July. And I think my favorite thing about it is that I work a lot with our creative teams, and I do a lot of writing, and I love the social media aspect of it. I love just being able to use what I feel is my intuition for marketing, which is what got me into it in the first place, and really be able to trust that and enhance the brand that way.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, welcome and thank you. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks.
Patrick. Yeah.
Well, this is a new career, second career for me. I've been a mechanical contractor most of my life, and I still am technically, but I always did the marketing for our company. And now I'm basically starting a marketing company to help other small business owners kind of cut through all the clutter and chatter and not chase the next shiny object and actually connect with their current customer base. All business is based on relationships. And sadly, a lot of small businesses don't even keep a list of their customers. They'll open up a little restaurant and people come and go, but they have no way to contact them again and get them back in. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of help people connect with their current customer base, build reviews online, build their brand that way, and then also have a medium to advertise back to them, either through texting or direct mail.
Awesome. So you know the next question. Tell me what you love most about the work you do.
Erica, you want to start? Ladies first.
Oh, I think I already answered that one.
Well, maybe that's true. Okay. Well, I guess what I kind of like is when you take someone who's been struggling and they've been kind of wasting their efforts and energies trying to chase someone new, and they realize I have this bank of people that I can draw from. And following up your current customer base is like, going into your own cookie jar, and you can just pull them out repeatedly. But they just need to have a way to contact them and have the list. And if a little restaurant would do nothing but set up like a birthday club, or text in, become a member of our VIP club, then they could, touch them once a month and remind them and not lose them. So
Yeah.
when the light
Awesome.
bulb finally goes out, when the light bulb goes, hey, I get it now. That's the best thing.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I'll chime in as well. As a personal branding coach, what my main focus is and what I love so much is really reminding people that they can go for those big dreams if they want to, right? With really great intention, with really tapping into your strengths and values. And so my favorite moments as well are those light bulb moments when they believe, right? They believe bigger than they did before, that they can go from good to great in their lives and businesses. So yeah, building upon their own belief in themselves just by getting that language and that self-knowledge is the coolest thing to experience. It's very powerful.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about, and you guys have many, a lot of background in many different areas, right? All around how a small business owner or a professional can increase their brand visibility. And I would be curious to know, how can they do that through one or two of your strategies or tools that you do or that you use in your business, in your profession?
Erica? I always say ladies first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think one thing, since I work in social media a lot, I think that's a really important tool, and there are a lot of great ways to use it. One thing that I definitely recommend is keeping your LinkedIn profile up to date and getting involved in different groups that have to do with your business or your interests. Commenting on those groups, staying in touch with contacts there. Just if you see an article, hey, thought this related to you, or thought you'd enjoy this, and just keeping up with contacts that way. I think then if you want to go to them in the future and ask for something or help or for recommendation, then it's not like you're just coming out of the blue. And it's sort of like, it's something that I definitely need to work on, but I think that can be a really good tool. And then as far as other social media platforms, I've really noticed a lot of sort of a blending of personal and professional lives in the workplace through a lot of different industries. And I'm sure people have very different views on that. I personally, I think it's fine. I think that what my interests are in my personal life add to who I am as a professional. And so I'm happy to share those kinds of things. And so I think that just like, for example, on my personal Facebook page, I've never posted anything that could be incriminating for work. And I think that that's paid off for me, because when I took over the Facebook account for my company, I had to become friends with my boss. And so, so my boss sees everything I do on Facebook now. And, I don't have a problem with that. Other people probably would have created a completely different Facebook profile. But for me, it worked out because I already was sort of cognizant that in my world, the personal and professional life and personality really kind of blend. And so I feel like I like to bring my personal interests into the professional world. And I feel like it makes me a more rounded person and a better person at the work that I do. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. I love that you said that, because I know I have a friend. She was actually on the first show that I hosted. This is the third show in the series, which really had some really vibrant conversations. I think that a lot of people found some value in. And she talked about having her personal and professional Facebook page. And I remember when I first met her, I looked her up online and it said Candy, and then it said Candace. It's like, wait a minute, friend. And then she later told me she had two. And yeah, so since that time, I would say going on a year now, I've blended my Facebook profile. And that's a great point. Being cognizant of what you're putting out there into the world all kind of relates to your brand, right? It all shows other people, tells a story. Maybe give an example. Oh, goodness, this dog. Give an example of the type of post you share. So if you had to think about the types of posts that you do share, are you guarded? Do you feel more free in that way? Or what do you think?
As far as my personal page, I think I've always held certain things back, that are just private to me. But I mean, since I'm a mom, I share a lot of pictures of my kids, and everybody loves that. So, yeah. I mean, that's not anything touchy, I think, but I also share, especially on my Twitter page, which tends to be more professional. I tend to share more things that have to do with my professional life. So, I'll retweet things from our company page, and that's generally more professional for me. LinkedIn as well is completely professional for me. And I think most people would argue it should stay that way. So I'll try and post articles on LinkedIn that have to do with, marketing trends and experiential marketing and things like that. And, my Facebook page is still my personal Facebook page, and, my boss can see it. So I just, I try not to post during work hours.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Unless I'm promoting the company, then it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about you, Patrick? How do you use your social media outlets?
Yeah. What I kind of let people think about at work, that people do this with people they know, they like, and they trust, and they kind of need to get to know you. And so you do have to get, and they do look for you, and they will find your social media pages. And so I post a lot of positive message stuff, reassuring stuff. I'll post a lot of stuff from the Ziegler group, Ziegler International, Ziegler organization, or the John Maxwell group, and stuff like that, and a lot of positive messages. And then I post a lot of stuff like, that are funny animal videos, or just things that I find humorous that would not have, not offensive to anybody. I try very hardly to totally steer clear of political, because you never know your future customer. And, anything too controversial, I try to stay away from. But like I said, people kind of need to get to know you, and because they do business with people they kind of get a feeling for. And you do have a brand out there, whether you think you or not. People are looking up what you're doing, and you are building your brand, whether you believe you're a brand or not. And it doesn't matter if you're a business owner or a sales rep for a business company. It doesn't matter. We all have a brand, and what our brand really comes down to is what people say about us that we don't know. Because they are saying something about you.
Yeah.
It's there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have a signature program called You Are Your Brand, Now What? And so some people might think, oh, that's weird. And some people say, you're a brand when you're born. But that's true. At the end of the day, it's what people know about you. It's the perception that you're putting out there in the world. And so how I use social media, I do try to stay away from the political sort of the stuff that I'm really passionate about, some things, but I think I sort of broke that barrier recently. And so, and I had 0 likes or 0 interaction. I was like, oops, maybe I offended somebody. But at the same time, I want people to know that about me. I'm not going to force my opinion on anyone else. I'm just going to share information. So I use my Facebook, mostly Facebook. I've been really getting into Instagram lately, which I find has been really engaging. But I just try to be really honest. If I would have had to describe the kind of information I share, it's positive reminders, it's education. So there's a lot of benevolence involved in the information I share. If someone else can benefit by knowing about it. So for example, when there was floods here in Texas, I posted something around, hey, here's some street closings before you head out. Check this out. That type of thing. So that's the kind of message, because that is who I am. I am someone who likes to share information that hopefully someone else can benefit from. And so those are the type of things I put out there in my channels as well. So if there's any questions or comments from the audience, we want this to be not only just sort of a facilitated conversation. I have some questions I'd love to pick their brains about, but please share your comments or questions. Mark has a comment. Anytime I think about posting during an emotional moment, I always type it up in Word or Notepad first. And this allows me to vent offline and reconsider the message I want to share. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's a little.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're writing it out there, you're getting out there. It's high emotional intelligence there, Mark.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, that is a great tip. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And so what about you, Patrick? I know in the work that you do around SEO and marketing, there's lots of different ways that people can build upon their brand or enhance their visibility. Tell us some of the tools or how they can benefit from the type of services you provide.
Right. So one of the things we try to set up for companies is a funnel system for their reviews. And you kind of want to touch all your customers, whether they're recently previous or the one you're standing in front of. And we basically ask them to start at the point of sale or completion and flat ask. And we do that by, we produce these little cards and we say, hey, would you please go to the website and leave us a review? And that way you start generating traffic to that company's website, one, but also you're funneling the reviews through a property that business owner has some control over. Because it falls under the old saying that, if you have something nice to say about us, please tell the world. Mm-hmm. But if you have something bad, would you tell us so we can fix it? And so we kind of want to direct it through a funneling system that, if there's an issue, we want to try to fix it first. And you'll notice a lot of the major brands will say, hey, on the back of the receipt, there's a survey or something like that. And they're funneling the customers an easy way to get feedback. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of small companies have never built that. They don't have the mechanism to build that. And that's kind of what we do, is we try to help them build a funnel and start with the review process and touch every customer. And then if it's a good review, if it's a 4 or 5 star, the system automatically then follows up and says, hey, thank you. And would you now please take it to Google or Yelp or Facebook or wherever they want it to go? If it's less than, if it's a 1, 2, or 3 star, a bad review, then the business owner gets a text immediately so you can address the problem and capture that negativity instead of letting it get out into the world. Mm-hmm. And that's the beginning of that. And then if the customer doesn't take it to Google or something within 7 days, then the system automatically reposts it as a Facebook post, puts it out as a tweet, and adds it to their Google Plus page. So we're using their customers to build a social media presence.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. It sounds very efficient, streamlined, effective. So it's capturing those testimonials, but also being proactive and really addressing their needs. So at the end of the day, you're hearing them, right? You're showing them that you hear them, right, and you're wanting to be the best business you can for them. That's awesome. And Dawn has a comment. I've decided to be political and personal on my Facebook only around 2 topics: education, because I was a teacher in healthcare, because I really care about it. Absolutely. I feel like people already know these are important issues to me because I am known already as a pro-human, compassionate activist. So why not? Yeah, absolutely. But I think you need to keep positive way more than negative on social. Absolutely. I agree. I'm giving you a star for that one.
Yeah. And it also kind of depends on your position. If you're in the sales arena, you have to kind of be a little more delicate about, controversial issues, Mm-hmm. But if you're a mechanic at a place or a technician at a place, then maybe it's not as critical in your position. So I think it does kind of depend on what position in the company you hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of sensitivities on how you engage. So tell us some ways that you engage from like the corporate side of the house. You mentioned building relationships is really crucial, or one of the favorite pieces in the work you do. What are some things around engagement that you could share with small business owners or other professionals?
Was it me or Erica?
Erica, sorry.
Okay. So as far as engagement, to follow up on one of the things that was talked about earlier, working with customers that we already have on expanding our service offerings to them is one thing that we definitely do a lot of. Mm-hmm. We will invite clients to come and tour shows that we do that have nothing to do with their industry, just to give them ideas about, and sort of educate them on all the different things that we do. Engagement, I guess on the corporate side, we have the social media. We definitely try and keep our message consistent. We're experiential marketing professionals, so we'll definitely, I'm searching every day for articles to share and to sort of support that positioning. And I think that consistency of messaging is really important. I think that helps to build trust. And so we really try and keep the message consistent. We also really do a lot of work to know who we're talking to, and we use the different platforms in different ways. There are the Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram are all a little bit different with a little bit of a different audience. And so we try and speak more to, with the LinkedIn, it's very professional. With the Instagram, it's kind of more fun and informal. And so we try and we keep the message consistent, but we know who we're talking to on the different platforms. And I think that generally for business owners, there's been a lot of talk about personalization in marketing, and I think that that's really key. I think if you're going out with a message, you have to really know, first of all, who your target audience is. If they're like a certain demographic, if it's, everyone's talking about millennials, so it's like, who's not marketing to millennials? But if you have a very specific group that you work with, if they're like Texas gardeners, you really want to know about that group and what's going to be interesting to them. You can't just, I think we're way beyond the days of sending out a blast email and everyone gets the same email. We know that doesn't work anymore. So you really have to make your message personalized, and you have to know who your audience is.
Yeah, that's so true. And we're living on information overload too.
Yeah.
I've recently deliked, if that's even a word, deliked some pages, just to kind of streamline some of that information. I unsubscribe all the time. So now I'm pretty much only connected to newsletters for fellow entrepreneurs, like small business owners. I want to continue to support them and stay tuned with their growth and things going on with their business. But everything else, I just unsubscribe from. We're just on major information overload, and I just would rather not see it. It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that becomes a real challenge for a lot of small business owners. Like I said, I deal more on the small local business owner market. So their customers are being bombarded with all this social media and advertising. And how do you cut through that clutter? And one of the ways for a small local company to make themselves stand out from everybody else in the world is simple little things that we don't do anymore. People don't spend the time to send a thank you note. When was the last time a service guy came to your house and you ended up writing a check for hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars, and 3 weeks later you forget who he even was? We've all had somebody in our house a year or so who did something in our home. Do you remember the guy's name? Probably not.
Right.
Statistically, the answer is no, you don't. You had an emergency, you rushed around, you found somebody, you fixed it, and you forgot about them. And for small business owners, that's a death sentence. To lose that person that they spent so much time and effort and marketing and money to attract that customer, and they don't capture that customer, and they don't do the simple little thing of sending a thank you note or even a follow-up text that says, hey, let us know how our guys did. We really appreciate, but let us know how our guys did. And just taking that step of that one little follow-up step to begin with, but understanding you have to capture their data so you can follow up. They say the money's in the list. How many small business owners don't have a list? It's amazing to me. The big guys get it. The little guys are so busy doing what they do, being the plumber, the electrician, whatever. They haven't spent the time to realize they're wasting their marketing dollars by not maintaining that customer.
Yeah, so we're talking about sort of brand loyalty, or even brand loyalty as a way to enhance brand visibility. And so how do you stay connected by creating that authentic connection and that authentic engagement with those consumers? It's almost like a lost art. It's kind of like handwritten notes, sending thank you notes by hand, or handwriting a message. I think one thing that I've seen, and I'd like y'all's input or experiences as well about around how you have expanded or increased your brand visibility as a professional in the marketing world, Erica, or kind of transitioning into a different line of business, Patrick. How have you sort of approached increasing your brand visibility to reach the goals that you're seeking to achieve? What are some techniques or strategies, tools that you've used to kind of get yourself out there?
Do you want me to go first?
Well,
or Patrick, do you want to go first?
No, ladies first.
Okay, I have a couple of stories. The first story is, let's see, 5 years ago, I was really stuck in a rut. I was an administrative assistant at the time. I had some marketing experience and I had quite a bit of event planning experience, but I was really in a rut. And I knew I wanted to be in marketing full time. And I've also always loved writing. So what I started doing at that time is I started writing for a local magazine. I was not getting paid. And I was also really into this HBO series, True Blood, about the vampires. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was a really hot series at the time. And they were doing some really fascinating marketing around the show that really allowed the fans to live in that world. And I somehow convinced the VP of marketing for HBO and two of the agencies that they worked with to come and speak with me at South by Southwest about it. And it was the kind of thing where I felt I was completely outside my comfort zone. The minute I sent the proposal, I thought it was the dumbest thing I had ever done, and no one would ever go for it. But my panel just hit on a live wire, and it was one of the first ones that was accepted at South by Southwest that year. And it ended up being one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I had never spoken publicly, and here I was in front of like 600 people with the people that run HBO marketing. And so I would say you don't have to have the experience. If it's something you're passionate about, you can just go for it. And then just one other quick thing. I think the way that I got the job I have now was sort of doing that volunteer work and doing those kinds of things that I was just passionate about, even though I had no experience. But also, I've worked for this company for 5 years, the company I'm with now. But I worked on the IBM team doing event logistics. So, but they developed this internal platform, an internal communications platform, basically like a social media platform. And I started posting articles about marketing, and I started to sort of just show, like, this is my interest, this is where I want to go. And I think that really helped. Like when it came time and there was a position open, it was like I had a much better chance, and I ended up getting the job. So those are.
I love those stories. I love those stories because you can be wherever you're at, right? And you pursue those interests and you take that big courageous leap and just say, why not? That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. And the whole point of that story was that she took the first step. She just took the step. And that's, I find a lot of small business owners really don't want to be the face of their own company, which I find kind of interesting. I mean, they're good at what they do, but they really they shy away from the camera, they shy away from being the face for some reason. Mm-hmm. But when you do put yourself out there, it comes back. So like I said, I was a contractor. I do heat and air work and stuff like that. And so I'm going into this new world, this new, business entity. And so what I did is I went to the local trade organization, which is the air conditioning contractors here in Oklahoma. They have meetings across 4 or 5 different cities every month. And I volunteered to be a guest speaker and, went out and did, like she said, I'd never spoke before a group before, and not only did I agree to speak in front of a group, I agreed to go to 5 different cities in 5 different days and did a little circuit, and so it is, you take the first step, and if you stumble, you stumble. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? How many people have died giving a speech? Really? I mean, statistically, you're better than being on an airplane. No one dies in front of an audience. Okay.
Right. It feels like it to some. Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations for taking the step, because that's what it is. Take the step. And people out there, the same thing. Take the step.
And even if you feel stupid doing it, even if you think this is the dumbest thing ever, because at one point I really did. I felt like that topic was, I'm like, no one's going to go for this. And a lot of people did. So you never know.
Yeah, that's right. And Dawn says, I see my clients who are putting themselves out there in social, being who they are really does make customers, make better customer connections, really do make customer connections. I couldn't agree more. So my story is somewhat similar to yours, Erica, in that way that, 2 years ago, I quit my full-time job that I had at a university here in Austin, and I was an executive assistant to a vice president. And 3 years before that, I had gone back to college and I got my bachelor's degree in organizational communications with a minor in psychology. And while I was in school, I knew I wanted to do something in the entrepreneurial world. I didn't really know what it was. It's because communication is such a huge field to go into. And so that journey, what that did for me is, by going out there and doing that volunteer work, I think I volunteered, I can't even count how many hours I volunteered in the past 4 years, but especially making that transition, volunteering and going out there, exploring your interest and pursuing things that are important to you made a huge difference. And I would say the other thing that was a big catalyst in my transformation, getting that confidence and knowing and having that clarity, I had my own coach. So I went through a local program here and I had a fantastic coach who knew I really wanted to start my own business. And she said, powerful, so simple, yet so powerful. She said, well, what do you want to do? What do you really want to do? And it's the simplest question. I was living in the world of should. Oh, well, I should do all this because the market says it. And I want to offer everything to everyone. And so obviously that's never the answer. Everyone always says you can't be everything to everyone. But when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you think that you have to be. So that experience, volunteering, really kind of getting to know who I was and what I really wanted, was my big leap. That was my big step, kind of making my way. And I'll tell an experience. So I became, I launched MuseStream, and then I became a coach at the University of Texas in McCombs School of Business. And I did the same thing you did, Erica. I just said, hey, I'm just curious about this. Because at the time I was like, I really want to bring coaching to St. Edwards because I think coaching is amazing. I really believe in it. And so that conversation started out just saying, well, tell me more about your program at UT. And it's been around for 15 years. And after that meeting, I said, hello, why didn't I ask to be a coach for UT? And so just one of those moments where you were typing the text or the email and you're thinking, yeah, there's no way. Like, is this really possible? Could this really happen? And it happened. I went through a vetted an interview process and they brought me on, and now I'm in my third year. So that's true. It's just kind of really going for something. Hey, I'm really interested in this. How can I do this? And finding those network of people that whether it's someone that you've known for quite some time or other person in your network, you never know. Just doing those informational interviews, what can come from them. So I think I guess there's a common theme going on.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So can you guys share maybe one of your favorite stories? How about one of your favorite client or consumer stories around how you've helped other people increase their visibility? What are some of your favorite client experiences or consumer experiences?
Is Erica still with us? Because I see it says poor signal on my side.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, your video's off, but we hear you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gosh, I guess the first thing that comes to mind when you ask like how do I help others with their visibility is basically what we do for our clients. So that's on a sort of a large corporate scale, and I'm not sure how relatable it'll be, but it is pretty amazing when, because I mean, our business is about relationships too. And so what we do is we sort of create these worlds where relationships and conversations can happen in a face-to-face environment with a brand and a customer. And I think that rather than going into any specific engagements, maybe just to talk a little bit about how we frame that kind of experience. And often what we do is we start with a question that's like, what does beautiful look like? Which basically is just another way of saying, what do we want the outcome to be of this interaction? Do we want it to be just enhanced brand awareness? Do we want specific conversations to happen? And if so, what are those conversations? And then we sort of go from there as far as building an experience that creates that happening. So, it can look a million different ways depending on what you're going after. But it always has to do with relationships. It always has to do with going into it, knowing what you want to come out of it, and then sort of building the experience around that.
Yeah. So creating the opportunity and the experience and the environment, all very thoughtfully.
Exactly. And then figuring out a way to measure if you met that goal. So it could be, well, we wanted to, get this many new customers, or we wanted to get these many inquiries, or have this many meetings. So it could be different, or this many social impressions. It could be different goals, but sort of knowing what your goals are and how you're going to measure those going in as well.
So would you say you're very laser focused in some of those experiences? Would it be one goal, or do you blend them, or what does that look like?
I guess it really depends on the client. Oftentimes the client just really does want to be, I'll just give you an example. We worked with IBM on a TED at IBM event in San Francisco a few months ago. And IBM's main goal for that event was really to reframe how they're thought about. They've been around for 100 years, but they really are very innovative. And I think that their partnership with TED just wanted to sort of reframe the conversation about who IBM is and how and their innovation and how they've been sort of pushing the envelope for 100 years. So it wasn't about sales. It was just about engaging people with the brand in a new way. So that's just one example.
Right. Yeah. And how about you, Patrick? I'd be curious to know, kind of moving into this new space. You've owned a company. You mentioned that you're going to be selling it soon, and you're kind of transitioning into SEO and marketing because you've seen it work so well in the industry. So tell us about your transition, what's going on, and how you're getting out there in a bigger way.
Okay. Well, like I said, I did a little tour with the local air conditioning contractors, and one of the things that I have committed with a previous employee that's actually taking over my company. So, and we're going through this transition for the next couple of years. But one of the things that separated us from everybody else in our marketplace, if you look at like Angie's List or other review sites, we had hundreds of reviews compared to any other air conditioning company even close to our size had a fraction of that amount. And like on the main company website, we have 140 current reviews for the last year, which is unusual in our market space. And part of that is reaching back out to your customer base. Like she said, it's relationship building. That when the customer knows that you care how it went, not just I got the check, I'm out of here. That you want to make sure they were happy, that you want to make sure there's and follow up, just that touching them every so often, and then ongoing. If you did nothing but once a month send a text and say, Happy Valentine's Day from your friends at, Happy Easter from your friends at, and just keep your name in front of them without being a pest. You don't want to text them every day, and like you said, emails, they don't work anymore, sadly.
No.
I mean, how many emails a day you don't even open? But when was the last time you got a text that you didn't read?
Yeah, it's suggesting, right? Absolutely.
So kind of showing the small business owner that you need to adapt to where the market and trends are going, and everybody is living on these things now. The majority of web traffic is now mobile. And so if your message isn't built on a mobile platform, If you have a 5-year-old website and it's not mobile capable, because some friend built it and you've never looked at it since, there's so much on the small side that needs help.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of where I'm focusing, is because that's where I've been most of my life. And only on Blab would you have, someone working on the highest, biggest companies in the world and also working on one-man shows, sitting side by side and talking about the same subject. It's just a wonderful platform.
Yeah, it's very cool. And, that was one of the biggest things, speaking from a small business side, the one thing as a personal branding coach, what we're finding is that we're really the first step in all of it, and how kind of this past year and a half as a small business owner, how overwhelming it was to look at all the different tools and all the different strategies. And I think what you mentioned, it's like looking at the shiny object. It's kind of like squirrel. And there's just so much information everywhere. But it's like, how do you find that focus? How do you create this one conversation to kind of really glean some really good information that'll keep you focused and move you forward in your business? And so was the main motivator in creating this platform, is to do that. And I think it's brilliant. And for anyone in the audience, do you have any specific challenges or questions around your brand? What are some of the challenges or topics you're sort of tackling or struggling with right now? We have a marketing guru here. We have a web content consumer loyalty person here, and personal branding coach as well. So if you have any thoughts or questions, please do ask us. We have about 20 more minutes here with you, but please let us know if you have any thoughts or questions in your own profession or in your own business. And also to invite you, if you found any of this conversation valuable, go ahead and tweet it and post it in your networks. That would be wonderful as well. So what are your thoughts now, having kind of moved through this conversation? What are your thoughts now around brand visibility or enhancing brand? It seems like there are a couple big themes coming from this, right? Making your transition, pursuing your interest, kind of being seen and being known, but really doing it in authentic ways. And then translating that to the other side with people that you engage, right? So it's all around authenticity, all around engagement and putting yourself out there. I'm just curious what your thoughts are as we move through this conversation. Curiosities or thoughts of each other.
I think for me, throughout my professional life, it's just taken a while to gain the confidence to go after the things that I'm interested in. And I think that, as you go through that process, you also get to see where your weaknesses are. And I think, definitely shoring up those things. I was afraid of public speaking. I'm still terrified of it. But I went out and joined Toastmasters, and it's like there are things you can do to really, once you start to recognize those things, to sort of shore up those skills and to recognize where you can continue to grow. And I mean, I really like, I think authenticity, it's kind of one of those buzzwords that I've almost heard so much that I'm sick of it. But at the same time, it's, I really love that it's a big part of the professional landscape now and the corporate landscape, even more so. And I think that just like showing up in your personal and professional life in the most authentic way you can, doing the best work that you can, and just, you'll just continue to grow, in my opinion. Another trend I've seen is a big like corporate social responsibility. And I think that simmers down to even the smallest personal businesses. I think that people really respond when they see that your mission is something that's bigger than yourself, or it's bigger than your paycheck. When your mission it really makes the world better in one way or another, or makes people's lives better, I think people really react to that. So, if there's any way that you can incorporate that into your business, I think you'll gain both personally and professionally from it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Erica. I think one of the things for me that really got me to my place of clarity is, authenticity, right? It's connecting to things that really matter to me. It's like getting really clear on my focus, what my strengths and skills, and then kind of knowing how that translated into the market. And so focusing on helping people build that confidence through self-mastery is what I did for myself and what I now do for others. Because I think the interesting thing that I've seen is that as small business owners, you start and you say, I need a website, I need a business card first. And that's not what they need first, right? They need that internal motivation, inspiration. They need to know who they are, right, what matters to them, and then pursue it with confidence. And then, like you said, move through those spaces where you find some weaknesses, make your adjustments and refine and move along the way and do things that you're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
I think that this is now, I'm in my fourth month using this platform. And I'm pretty sure I've fallen on my face a time or two, maybe even during this show, stumbling on my words, whatever. But the thing I love about it is that I'm just trying it. I'm just trying something new. This is very current. It's very accessible. And, I did used to have a fear of public speaking myself, and I moved through that. And then being videotaped where I'm not like constantly, messing with my hair or what, like it doesn't matter. So anyway, congrats for that you kind of moved through that space, because I think that's huge. And I think that the biggest takeaway for me, and it sounds like for you as well, is trying something new, even though you're scared, trying something new because it really interests you or you're passionate about it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, as small business owners, you need to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because, you're it. You do have to make those decisions that somebody else used to make. Mm-hmm. You do have to, take that gamble that somebody else was really, you went to work, but it was really somebody else signing the check that was really taking that decision. And, none of us like to look foolish, but the sad reality is you don't know if it's going to work until you do it. Mm-hmm. And overcoming that fear of, I'm going to look silly. What's the worst that's going to happen? And believe me, we all have looked silly before.
That's right. Even when we didn't think we looked silly, pretty sure we did. And that's okay too. Yeah. Well, what are you guys most excited about in 2016 in your professional role, Erica, maybe expanding or refocusing, or in your business, Patrick? What are you guys most excited about this year? Coming in the wings.
I think for me personally, just continuing to grow in the skills that I use on a day-to-day basis. I think, personally, just becoming more comfortable with my writing skills and social media acumen and leadership skills. And then for, marketing in general, I think it's an exciting time. I love working in experiential marketing because we do get to create those types of moments where people can connect with brands. And I also feel like, the world of like conventions and conferences, which we also do a lot of, I think that I'm seeing a lot more of things like mindfulness on the agenda, where people are really focusing on the whole person instead of just the business aspect. It's like, yes, there's a whole person coming to this conference, and we really need to address the whole person as far as making sure that they're able to relax and making sure that there are things on the agenda that address more than just the money or the professional skills, and realizing that people come to connect with other people. And so that's really neat to sort of see that shift, and also to see a shift in real sustainability practices happening. And, we do this event on the West Coast that it's just a huge number of people. And last year we were able to just make huge strides in sustainability in an industry that used to really have a lot of waste. And so that's really exciting for me to see that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so true. Like you mentioned, you said you're hearing the word authenticity is kind of like, all right already. But at the same time, it's great that it is so mainstream.
Right.
And sustainability is another one. And looking to those businesses that are really doing things that actually make a difference. And it is bigger than just their company or bigger than profit. Mm-hmm. It really is about community and making a difference in our world. And I think that's so, so important. Yeah. Well, how about you, Patrick?
I think you hit the key by saying the word community. The highest level is when people feel they belong. Mm-hmm. And when a brand can actually get to the point of that people feel they belong. I mean, people pay extra for a shirt that has a symbol on it than just a regular shirt because they want to be identified with it, because they want to belong. And people want to belong to things that they see as positive. And so when they do reach out, and they do community reach out, and they do positive things, they're building their brand. And that's what this whole show was supposed to be about, how to build your brand. And that is a big part of it. And if you can get to the point, no matter what size your business is, to where you can have that feeling of community, not only within the company, but also actually with your customer base and the community at large. I mean, everybody wants to belong.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I make you feel like you belong here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, Erica, I haven't heard that too often either. Experiential marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not sure if that's a newer thing, because I often say experiential workshops, experiential branding process
Mm-hmm.
that we bring our clients through. So that's interesting. You said experiential brand or experiential marketing. Is that something new? Is that been around and I'm just behind the times, or?
It's been around for a long time. And I think like a great example is like the automotive show, right? It's any place where you come face to face with a brand, basically. So if you're at an auto show and all those auto brands, they show up with their, with their big, with their big exhibits or conventions or trade shows, that's all experiential marketing.
Yeah, right.
As is, like if you go out and there's like a tasting of some new product somewhere and you get to actually taste the product, it's anywhere that you really engaging hands-on in a face-to-face kind of engagement, as opposed to watching a commercial on television or, receiving a mass email from somebody. So there are really a lot of different things that fall under the umbrella of experience marketing. But a lot of what we do is like conferences, conventions, we do the auto shows, and then we do things like TED with IBM, and we build like sort of a whole experience around that. So it's really fun area to work in.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I mean, I'm sure I've seen it all around. I just hadn't heard it coined in that way.
Right.
Yeah. And the challenge for small businesses, that especially small service businesses, is to realize that they are giving an experience to that customer, even if they are just a local electrician, even if they're a local plumber. And when they think about it that way, it makes them pause. It's easy to send someone out to fix something. But if they realize at the end of that call that you're going to have to ask them for a review, and the office is going to follow up the next day with a text or something and ask how they did, then all of a sudden, that even at the local level, that technician has to think twice, because I know tomorrow she's going to get a text. And so how I dealt with her is going to come up, and it's important that, you address pet the dog if it's a friendly dog. It's important that because to some people that is their family, is their household pet. And the experience that technician provides that customer is beginning of that company's brand. And so like Erica's working on these, tremendously large events and companies, and there's need in the world for that. We focus on the local business owner and try to teach them how to apply those exact same principles, and get your service guys to realize that, when you ring that doorbell, the experience has already started. They saw you drive up. They saw all that clutter and trash on your windshield that you didn't clean for the last 3 weeks, and that's part of the experience. The way you're dressed is part of the experience. The way they answered the phone when they set the appointment, that's part of that experience. And whether or not they're going to remember you and call you back, or remember you and never call you back, is based on that experience. Yeah,
absolutely. And I like that you kind of narrowly focused that down to even like the interaction part. Engagement's a big part of this conversation. And so when we are able to communicate and connect with someone else, that's the experience. So there's, like you said, speaking at from the big corporate side to the one-on-one solopreneur, it's all an experience. And so working around how you engage with other people and how you show up, whether you're confident, whether you're excited, people are going to remember that. And I think there's a really great, I'm sure everyone's seen it at this point, by Simon Sinek, I always mess up his name, by The Importance of Why, that people, even the biggest brands, they're most motivated and inspired by connecting with someone who can talk about why they do what they do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same is true for an individual, right? From a personal branding perspective. If you show up really excited, really confident, really believe in what you do, people are going to pick up on that, and that's going to be that experience. So thanks for sharing that. And we're just about 5 minutes away from ending. So I want to close out and just say, or just ask each of you, what's one brand that you really admire? And just kind of, it can be any size. It can be someone locally or a gigantic one. Tell me what's one brand that you really admire and why.
Well, it's funny. Well, Patrick was talking about, having a service person come to your home. And I actually really respect a local pest control company, ABC Pest.
Nice.
And I've used them for years, and I always have a good experience with them, and it's consistent. Mm-hmm. And over the years, my trust with them has just grown to a point that I now use them for plumbing services, and I use them for other services, and I have a high level of trust with them, and I just always have a great experience. And mm-hmm. I think, just to what Patrick was talking about, it doesn't matter what size the company is, but it's just about giving the customer that good, good recollection and good experience. And yeah, so that's the example that came to mind for me.
Yeah, cool. How about you, Patrick?
Well, the group that comes to mind to me, and I don't know if you can read that, it's the Ziglar organization down in Dallas. And Zig Ziglar passed away about 3 years ago, but his son, Tom Ziglar, has taken over. And they basically, do coaching and sales training and things like that nature. But, they have for years basically kind of taught the importance of, being the right type of person. And it starts from within. And it's hard for you to help somebody else until you yourself have kind of corrected some of your issues. And we all have things to work on. And so it kind of helps you be a better person and then bring that to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And the importance of coaching, and I know that's kind of what you do too, is coaching, but people need to understand that they really do need to have someone to bounce it off of. And you need a second set of eyes sometimes.
Absolutely. Can't do it all alone. Yeah. And I'll talk about one of my favorite brands. And it's one that the most people probably know and love, but I love Tom's. I think Tom's is just a phenomenal brand, just under his social entrepreneurial model. One shoe for you, one shoe for someone else. I think that's beautiful. And I think they've expanded to now on water conservation efforts and providing water to other countries that are in the greatest need. So I just think it just moves beyond what is possible. If you have that sort of social impact passion, it can show up however you want it to in your business. And it's just a great model to go by. And I know we're a coaching business a year and a half in, and I am determined to connect it to some social good component. I'm not sure what that is just yet. I know what we're passionate about. But I just think it's so important for us to do it, even from the individual level to the larger community level. But that's why I admire them. And so thank you guys so much. We're just 1 minute away. If there's anyone watching that is in the world of marketing or web development or business development videography, graphic design, please message me. I'd be interested to having you come on my show. This is creating a conversation around how to increase your brand visibility. So I'd love to collaborate with you. Please email me at dara@daracarrillo.com for more information on that. And what do you guys, what are some high-level thoughts you guys want to leave people with today as we close out?
I think I would just like to say one thing I've realized lately is everyone is just kind of winging it to some degree. And so, gain as much experience as you can. And, don't be afraid if you're winging it, because chances are tons of other people are too. And everyone's just where they are and moving forward. And so don't let that intimidate you.
Great advice. Yeah, I love that. And your screen locked up, Patrick, but I'm not sure if you're still there.
Yes, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm back. Okay. My closing thought would be all business is based on relationships, and all relationships are based on you making the effort. If you're trying to find a friend, it may be a little hard, but if you go out and be a friend, you'll find plenty.
Oh, I love that. I love both of your advice so far. My closing thought would be, don't forget yourself along the ride. So we always move so fast along the way, and don't forget to take time to really discover who you are, what inspires you to move you forward, because whether you're pursuing a professional venture or as an entrepreneur, you're the most important piece of that puzzle. So take care of yourself, get to know yourself, and you're always learning and evolving. Show yourself a lot of self-compassion, because it is going to be a hard journey along the way. And like Erica said, we're all doing this, maybe sort of stumbling along the way, and that's okay too. So not a lot of self-judgment. So yeah, you guys were fantastic. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah. And have a wonderful day. Thanks everyone else for watching.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Bye, you too.